Questions flying left and right, in the day and in the night, shining bright like city lights. We dig deep, we find the sights. Governments.
At the end of these sacrifices we have to make on the economy, what are we looking for?
We got answers, you will see. Point of view, point of view. Every story's got a clue. Point of view, point of view. Finding truth in what we do.
Accelerated development to get Nigeria employed.
Hello and welcome to Point of View on ENUGU State Broadcasting Service. This is the program that brings us together to talk about issues around us, issues that affect our lives, everyday life activities, and we usually dissect the issues and look at them from different perspectives and also know how to bring solution to whatever that is not going fine. And if we come together, we also bring people who can do justice to whatever issue we bring into perspective. And today, we've come to discuss an issue that is actually dealing with us, and we need to deal with it in our own way as human beings. And that is the issue of flooding. And we come up with the topic of flood and the need for proactive approach to it, to prevent it, and also to contain its effect if actually it comes. That is our topic today. And in the studio, I have with me the person who actually is in the domain of handling issues like this in ENUGU State, and that is the Executive Secretary of ENUGU State Emergency Management Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Chinasa Mba.
Good morning, Mr. Sam.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
So that is how we are taking off today. The background is there, and you know that recently and even up to now, the media has been awash with stories about what flooding is doing to us. It started from the collapse of the Alao Dam in Borno State, and the resultant effect as it went ahead to deal with the people around there, especially people from Medugri and Jere local government areas of the state, where people were displaced. Thousands of people were displaced, scores of people died. And we want to talk about it from there, and we shall go further to look at it from different angles, how it happened, and why we are talking about it today in ENUGU State. My name is Sam Udekwe, the anchor of the program. And you, the audience, do remember that you can also follow us on our social media handles at X, formerly known as Twitter, at ENUGU ESBS, Instagram, ENUGU ESBS, Facebook, ESBS ENUGU, and you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at ESBS ENUGU 042. You can also check it out on our website, esbsenugu.com. Thanks for being with us, and we roll the ball and coming to the person that will give us the insights and also look at the issues we are talking about, China Samba, the ES SEMA. Yeah, acting SEMA ES, and the chief executive of SEMA as it is now. Yeah. So the position you are holding is that of the executive secretary. Yes, thanks. And what's the situation as people are crying? There are cries around the country. ENUGU State is not left out, as the Alao Dam collapsed. And there's this threat, or better still, warning from Cameroon that there will be regulator releases from the Lado Dam. And this is, it is ominous to other states. States, about 11 states have been named as potential victims of this menace. Enugu is not left out. So what is the situation?
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Sam. Like, you know that once it comes to rainy season, everybody gets worried because of flooding. And you know that flooding in its own is not a disaster. You understand? It's what accompanies it that causes disaster. And many a times you discover that both human and the natural create disaster from flooding. So once, you know, we encounter flooding when the rainfall is high. If the precipitation is too high, and then the soil can no longer percolate the water, there's possibility of having a runoff. And once you have a runoff, maybe rivers overflow its banks, or people build on waterways, the drainages can no longer carry the water. That is when we begin to encounter flooding. As it concerns the issue of dams, you know, in Maiduguri, the flooding they encountered, there was a torrential rainfall, which also led to the collapse of the dam. So the collapse of the dam now led to water to overflow, even it entering into the city, and I think currently some people are still missing. So the effect was so devastating. And going down to Enugu State, you know, every year, the NIMET, that is Nigeria Meteorological Institute, and the NISA, they normally come out with their predictions for the year. And by February this year, they came out with the prediction for this 2024 rainfall. And the Enugu State one was among the states that is recorded as a state that will encounter flooding, in which we have an INRI in Enugu State in red as a local government that will encounter flooding. And eventually it's been happening in INRI since July this year. We've had so many cases in INRI, though we thank God that no life has been lost, but properties, crops, and farmland, and household items, buildings have been submerged, and many things destroyed, even livestock are affected. You know, so now, talking about the issue of Lago Dam, which Cameroon is warning us that soon they will open. You know that as soon as they open the Lago Dam, the water, the moment it gets to Kogi State, Enugu State is already affected. Why? Because we have local government in boundaries with those, Kogi State and Anambra State. And then we have Uzuwani. Uzuwani is the major local government that is going to be affected if there is anything like water overflowing from the Lago Dam coming down to this side. Because the moment it comes to River Benue, it will move down to River Niger. And because we pass through the waterways and we have tributaries of other waters from the rivers that also overflow it banks when this water comes. So which makes people like Ojo, Iga, Ogurugu, Obos, Umolok, all these local government areas and communities in those local government area, even on Suka, encounter flooding via the opening of the Lago Dam if the volume is too high. So, but what we're looking at now is that mainly what Enugu State Emergency Management Agency does is work on sensitizing people, on getting prepared. Peradventure this water comes, what do we do to ensure that no life is lost? And then even if there's going to be damage, let the damage be mitigated to the barest minimum. In that aspect, we're looking at, you know, we have phases of disaster management. You have the preparedness, you have the response, you have the mitigation, you also have the prevention, you understand? But when it comes to prevention, remember, some natural disasters cannot be prevented, but it can be mitigated. The harmful effect can be reduced. And that is why we talk about educating people on what to do. Once the rain is high, one, we talk about early warning mechanism. The moment the early warning mechanism is given to us, which is the first one is from the NIMET, and the letter we received from the Cameroon concerning the opening up of the Lago Dam. So we begin to tell people, please monitor the water, especially those in the farm settlement areas, because all these local government areas we're talking about are mostly agrarians. So we have to ensure that we keep talking to them. Even as at 3 days ago, I spoke with all of the Igwes in Ozo 1 local government. Peradventure this water comes, please begin to monitor. You have the local ways of monitoring the increase in the water level. The moment you begin to discover that the water is increasing, ensure you begin to beat your metal gong or whatever form of dissemination of information you use to tell your people in the farm settlement to start coming out to the upland. Do you understand? In that case, if there is also some crops that are ready for harvesting, that is when we will talk about harvesting them early so that those that will be damaged, that will be submerged by the water, will be reduced. And you know that they plant rice a lot, and other crops, other cash crops like cassava, like yam, vegetables and all what may. So all these things, if they are not properly handled, if they are not harvested, they normally get damaged. We've seen so many with our eyes in also one. In fact, they always like it's a perennial thing. It happens on yearly basis. But what can we do except to reduce the impact of it? And you remember, His Excellency, when he entered into his administration, immediately after his swearing in May 29th, on the month of June precisely, he called a meeting and he said he wants to establish a flood proactive approach in Enugu State. In that meeting, the Secretary to the State Government is the chairman of the committee. My humble self is the secretary of the committee. We then had the local government chairman then, 17 of them, we invited them, you understand, to work with them to ensure that the community members are enlightened on what to do. Another thing, they discovered that even areas who are not supposed to experience flooding, people go and build on waterways. What are our town planning authorities doing to control the way people build indiscriminately on waterways? You see people filling area that you know that it is a prone area. You fill it and build on top of it. When they come and say, mark red, don't build. Before you know, the next day, they have started building their houses. At the same time, you see people blocking the drainages. They'll go and buy sand or gravel. They heap it inside the drainage. You know that it's going to control the flow of water to avoid flooding in a place. People will come and use sand to fill it. Some people, when it is raining, they will carry debris and be pouring it inside the rainwater that is flowing. And the moment it gets to a point that where it will stock, it can cause flooding because the water will spill over. Once there's a run of flooding has started. You remember in the city again, we have all these issues of people not having good attitude of handling their waste. Waste management is too poor. We're still educating people, talking. We have flyers. This is part of the flyers we have made. We are giving to people as things they have to look at what you do. We even use a station for radio jingles to tell people what to do to avoid this flooding having much effect on us, because it definitely, once there is rainfall, there must be flooding. But if we human beings control our activities, if we are conscious of environment, mind what we do in the environment, there's no way we cannot reduce the impact of flooding to the barest minimum. But many a times, human factor contributes to the magnitude of the damage we encounter. Because people don't know that what they do comes back to them. If you're mindful of your environment, we talk about planting of trees. You see people cutting down trees without planting another. You have no reason to cut down trees. Trees help to shield the environment. It helps to control the drop of the precipitation. Trees help to control it, and it helps to control, because once the precipitation is held by the tree, if it is coming down, it will come the velocity will be lower. You understand? It will help it to percolate quietly into the soil. But once there are no trees, everywhere is open, it will come down direct and it will be a wash-off. So we are asking people to change their attitude. Make sure you have drainages where you're supposed to have drainages. Even in some areas where you know that this place is a waterlogged area, you're bound to experience flooding, you dig what we call catchment pits or water collection points. When you have it, maybe you put it in in such a form that if water is coming, the channel of the water, it will be flowing to the pit. You can harvest it and use it for something else. You can use it for dry season farming. That's what we're talking about, construction of dams, even in Sati. There's one in Aniri that was not completed. I know His Excellency is already taking it up.
Yes, Ivo
yes, the one, because Ivo River comes from Okigwe, through to Ishago, down to Okbanko and the rest of them, before moving down to Ivo in Ebonyi State. You see the route where it goes. So once it comes, it causes a lot of damage. That is the main reason that is causing flooding in Aniri local government, especially Okbanko, Oduma, and all the rest of them. So once this water is, but then that dam, I don't know if it is completed, the water can be harvested there and be used for dry season farming. We use it as irrigation. You understand? It also boosts our agriculture and economy, which His Excellency is working seriously to make sure that the economy of Enugu State is grown. So once agriculture is well taken care of through harvesting of this flood water, we can be having planting during the dry season without feeling the impact of it. All you need is water pumping machine. I use it to pump out water and irrigate your farm so you have food steady in the state. So we are looking at using this water usefully, not allowing it to cause damage and destruction in the environment. And you know that once this flooding increases, it leads to erosion and all the rest of them. Or even our roads can be destroyed, the infrastructure can be affected, human beings can be affected, even education can be affected. Because if water overflows in an institution or in a school environment, children cannot even enter the classroom to study. So we have to know that flooding, our environment is very, very important. And in flooding, we can all contribute, not just SEMA. SEMA is to sensitize people, to train people, tell people what to do. We go to local government areas, we sensitize them, we call down the members of local emergency management committee, we talk with them, we teach them, this is what you do. Peradventure, somebody is trapped in water. This is what you do. Flood water, don't enter flood water. Don't drink flood water. Don't use it to cook, because if you drink it or use it to cook, it can lead to diseases, which leads to health implications, you understand, in the community, in the society. So make sure you don't drink the flood water. Make sure you don't use it to cook food. Don't even use it to wash clothes. But you still see that people, if I show you some videos of what is happening, maybe using an eel, for instance, you see people still entering. Don't forget that reptiles follow flood water too. Harmful objects like broken bottles, ions can also be found in flood water, because all these equipment can be moved by water, which can harm somebody when you enter inside it. And the worst thing that can happen is that once you record fatality in a flood, it is devastating. No life loss can be restored. You can lose property and regain them, but once a life is lost, it can never come back. So we keep telling people these are the things you have to do. But our problem is, are people abiding by all these instructions? Are they abiding by all these radio jingles, the flyers we distribute, going to communities to talk to people to see this is your attitudinal behavior that you should apply during the rainy season, and especially when there is flooding. You understand? So we're there, we're working on it.
Okay, thank you very much. You have talked so much about awareness creation, education, flood education, and even environmental education generally. And do you think your agency is doing enough in this awareness creation? Are you doing what I call off-season awareness creation? That is, I mean, when it is not the time for this flooding, when it's not felt, how much have you done?
Okay, thank you. We have done enough, but we still need to do more. You understand? Improvement is needed on everything one is doing on a daily basis. But we have done much. Why I'm saying we have done much is because there's no community in ENUGU state that will say that they've not received training from State Emergency Management Agency or sensitization or awareness programs. You understand? The only thing we need, I know now that we have new local government chairmen coming in. We are now going, at the moment they're sworn in and they enter into office, what we are going to do is that we are going to swing into action again with them to activate them, because when you come to the local government areas, we have local emergency management committee, which is supposed to be headed by the chairman of the local government. Do you understand? Then the health supervisor of the local government, the traditional rulers, ruling council of the local government, the police, the Red Cross, the civil defense, these are the Red Cross also in that part. So they come together as the first emergency responders, because there are things that will happen in the environment. Before you wait for someone to come from ENUGU to the community where it is happening, maybe the damage would have been so devastating. But when you have people on ground who can respond, move into action instanter before emergency actors from ENUGU will come, it will help reduce the impact of whatever incident, be it flooding, be it fire, be it any other kind of natural or human-induced disaster in the environment. We don't pray for it to happen, but we train people on ground. So these are people that have good knowledge of what to do. It's just like, when you come to first aid support, maybe somebody is in shock. It's not everybody, some people that will come in as accident and say, we are helping. Maybe the moment they are carrying, they even help to damage, because maybe somebody that has spinal cord injury, you don't know how to lift the person up. You do what? You break the bone, the person may end up in wheelchair. So these are the kind of trainings we do along with Red Cross, with National Emergency Management Committee, National Agency in the state, because the Southeast Zonal Office is in ENUGU State, and we work tirelessly, collaboratively with them. You understand? We synergize a lot to ensure that we carry out all this sensitization down to the local areas, because we don't just end talking on radio. We don't just end printing flyers. No, we normally go to all these local government areas. So as soon as these local government chairmen who are just newly elected get back to office, we'll go to all of them. You understand? That's what we normally do. We did it with the past administration, and they've been part of us in flood proactive meetings we've been doing to ensure that mitigation impact is put in place, and it worked. and we'll continue to do that. So this moment they come into office, we are going also to visit them, activate their minds to know what they're supposed to do, you understand? And then they will have to bring out their own people, because I know there will be changes in local government. Maybe the people you trained before would have been posted to another place. They may no longer be there. So what you have to do is to train up the new people that are going to come on board now, so they have good knowledge of what to do concerning the environment. The key thing is securing the environment. The key thing is being conscious of where you are and what you do, knowing that you will be the one that will receive the impact of both the good and the bad of whatever you do around you.
Thank you. We have been on Point of View on ENUGU State Broadcasting Service, and we've been discussing flood and the need for a proactive approach to prevent it or contain it. I have been joined by Chinasa Mba, the Acting Executive Secretary, SEMA, that is ENUGU State Emergency Management Agency, and we've been discussing this, and we've listened to her, and solutions are there, because what you learn is what you use to prevent certain occurrences against yourself, and she has done quite a lot in discussing this issue today. And we are going on, and SEMA ES, what do you think if eventually this thing occurs in Enugu State? Enugu State is already propense to receiving this thing. This year it has been said earlier, even though I don't know Enugu to be riverine as an area. We have riverine areas across the country, but generally Enugu cannot be said to be riverine, even though there are people who are around the river in Enugu State. So when it eventually occurs, I want people to know the kind of preparation on the ground.
Okay, thank you very much. One of the major preparations we have is that we identify the upland, the safer place where people can be taken to. You understand? We know normally we call it internal displaced persons camp. There is people who are affected where they will stay for some time, so that the water will recede and they'll be able to go back to their various homes or go back to their farms. But the key thing is that, you know, how people don't like staying in camp, unlike in the north where people stay in the camp, and it's a problem to us too, because once up there in Abuja they will say, where is your IDP camp? Well, where are your people? When you're giving them the data you have, they'll think you're faking it. Because our people we don't believe in coming to sit in a place and waiting for somebody to come and feed you and give you food before you eat. So, but they normally come and stay in a place. So identify the upland. For instance, in an area, we'll discover the HPM is on board then, that if anything happens that people have to be displaced, make sure that we'll have a place in the local government where it's been that maybe the open hall, there's a big hall, a safe place, there's an upland where people can stay and would have been no fear of water coming up to that particular area. So the same thing now is when you come to Ojo have a place where they're building as a camp place, because we normally use the traditional rulers' palace where people normally gather. The same thing in Iga, in Ozu, all these areas are called the Ozu one. Iga too, normally people gather in the Catholic church or in the palace of their traditional ruler. You understand? From there, we take them up to a place where they can stay safely. So till the moment the water recedes, they go back. So that's the number one thing, identifying a safe ground for people. Secondly is that, like I told you, that His Excellency is so much concerned about what is happening in the environment in Enugu State. The moment he entered this year, this is Enugu State Emergency Preparedness and Response Plan. You can bring it out from the cell, you understand? So this document was developed this year, you understand, by approval of His Excellency. This document is a very rich document that involves all the key actors that will be participating in case of any emergency or disaster in Enugu State. Now we have the Red Cross was part of it, UNICEF was part of it, World Health Organization, National Emergency Management Agency, Ministry of Health, all the local government chairmen on board, they all participated in producing this document, because one wanted it to be something that is community-based document, that everybody will be involved, and all the actors in emergency management, the stakeholders, we know their responsibilities, their roles to play if any emergency occurs, especially that of flooding, which is always the major case we encounter in Enugu State. So, like you said, Enugu State is not known as a riverine area, but we still have people by the riverside. So because we're not counted as riverine people doesn't mean we don't encounter what those in the riverine area encounter. Because people in Ozu 1 axis, in Nsukka axis, and coming down to Nkanu East, you have Idodo River. Do you understand? The moment, even as at yesterday, I was talking with the traditional ruler of Amechi Dodo, say this water has come again. The moment Amechi Dodo encounters water, if Idodo River exceeds its bank and overflows, it goes down to Nkerefi, it goes down to Owo, it goes down to Amagunzu. You understand? All those communities within that area, they begin to participate in the flooding. So everybody encounters it in one way.
And by the way, you talked about the human factors, people doing certain things they are not supposed to do.
They are
that,
not supposed to do.
You know, cause a flooding, even when they are not at the river.
That's the thing, because like I told you, that certain factors contribute to that. Because normally, all these waters, you know, if we're harnessing what we have, they need to be dredged. Sometimes people also heap debris inside. And when they're heaping debris inside all these rivers, it's a challenge. And someone will come and build houses, you know, some filling and building houses nearby. You are compressing the waterway. The moment you compress the waterway, there's bound to be flooding.
Water must find its way.
You understand? So it must move out. Once the water is over, it must move out. So anyway it finds, it will just follow that place and go. It doesn't matter whether it has or tree or anything, it can pull it down and pass. It doesn't know the one that is human being and the one that is farmland or animals. So that is the main thing. Now, we are trying to ensure that all these areas, the most important is to save lives, save property, save environment, and then economy is enhanced. Because agriculture is means of growing economy. And all these people that are all into agriculture, they are predominantly farmers. So if we save some take loan to do their planting, and the moment flooding comes and damages the whole money is gone. The expectation is lost. So we always encourage people that you have if SEMA or state government or whatever or federal government have a role to play, it is 20%. The individuals involved have 80% role to play, because what you are losing belongs to you. Government can come and give you relief materials, give you bag of rice, beans, and all what may for you to eat, but that doesn't solve the problem. You cannot pay your children's school fees. You can't go and say the bank, you're only looking for food to eat. But when you control and protect what you have, and secure it by doing the right thing at the right time, you will see that you will also have what to produce next time, what to sell, what you used to buy, and solve other problems in your family. Do you understand me? So the case we are looking at now is how to ensure that people take serious action by themselves, because I've sensitized them enough, and we keep sensitizing them, telling them these are the things you do. And then we are trying to encourage people on knowing the best season to do their planting.
Okay, how much has your agency, in collaboration or driven by the government, done the issue of sharing palliatives when it happens to the people, the victims?
Thank you very much. You know that His Excellency, the Governor of ENUGU State, Dr. Brasapita Ndubisimba, is so much concerned about every sector, especially in State Emergency Management Agency. You understand? You remember even in building collapse, the first thing when he entered, we encountered building collapse at Tifo in Enugu East. We entered encountered another building collapse at number 3 Mboemene in a cow camp Enugu here, in which 4 children died at that particular one. At Tifo, there's no loss of life. So I'm trying to tell you how committed His Excellency is to making sure that we get all these materials, you know, stockpiling, getting it's part of our preparedness measures. Because in the law establishing the agency, it is one of the functions of the agency to procure and distribute relief materials to people affected by emergencies or disasters in the states. The same thing as it is nationwide to the National Emergency Management Agency. So now, it's part of our preparedness program to stockpile, in which also His Excellency has given us the approval to ensure that we stockpile and wait. Peradventure anything happens, we will not hesitate to take materials to those areas. Then, like people that encountered it in an area, there's been approval he made that of taking some items for them, still waiting for more to come that we still use to augment what has been given to them already by His Excellency's approval. So in this particular one, we are waiting, and if anything happens, I want to tell you that His Excellency is ever ready to support the agency to make sure that we take relief materials down to the affected persons.
Thank you very much. And the people have been advised enough on what to do, starting from the issue of being precautious and where they stay, because they have always insisted on taking possession of their ancestral homes, but there is still need for relocation where you earlier heard about it. And you, from what you have said, you have given enough education, awareness to them, and it now behoves them to follow that advice and do the needful. That's fine. That has been the Acting Executive Secretary, ENUGU State Emergency Management Agency, SEMA, Mrs. Chinasa Mba. We've talked about flooding and the need for proactive approach to prevent it or contain it when it happens. And this is where I think we've chewed as much as we can swallow. And this is talking about drawing the curtain for today's edition of Point of View. And as I said, we shall continue to do that, bringing issues that affect us, dissect and look at such issues from different perspectives. Till next time when we come around, I'm Sam Udekwe, your anchor. Goodbye.
Questions fly left and right, in the day and in the night, shining bright like city lights. We dig deep, we find the sights. Governments.
At the end of these sacrifices we have to make on the economy, what are we looking for?
We got answers, you will see. Point of view, point of view. Every story's got a clue. Point of view, point of view. Finding truth in what we do.
Accelerated development to get Nigerians employed,